Howdy, and welcome to the Feed Bandit podcast, where we talk all things hunting and introduce you to the most innovative hunting gear and services. Here are your hosts, Jimmy Byrne and Richard Kinchlow. Howdy, folks. Welcome back to the Feed Bandit podcast. We're happy to have you join us on this episode, and I'm joined in studio, so to speak, by Richard.
Hola, amigo.
I heard you kind of grunted that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the reason why I'm grunting is because we had a lease all signed up for the Feed Bandit podcast studio.
Oh, yeah.
And then we realized we didn't have any money. And so we had to cancel that.
Yeah,
the realtor was pissed. It was awful.
Yeah, evidently, your own studio actually costs a lot of money. So
that's right. That's right.
So he said, we'll just kind of stick it out in my barn and in your home office for now.
Yeah, in my playroom. Right. Right now, it's funny enough, if the power goes off, not only will this podcast be kaput, but I will never get out of here without damaging the bottom of my feet. Because
toys and stuff.
They're not just soft little plush toys. We're talking small figurines. You know those ones that get you right at the ball of your foot, and then make you want to scream obscenities.
Oh yeah. Well, my son Jeb, he loves Hot Wheels. And we have probably 100 of them in our house, and somehow they find their way to the most advantageous spot or the most trafficked pathways through the house. So
now are those your Hot Wheels?
Yeah, they are, about probably 90% of them are Hot Wheels from when we were growing up, the ones that I played with. So it's awesome because I remember them, some of them, and I'll be like, man, I remember playing with this one, and I'll turn it over. On the bottom, it'll say the date that it was made or whatever. We have so many that are like 82, 83, 87.
Now, those aren't the lead-based paint ones, are they?
Oh, I guess. I don't know, but they're those. They probably are.
On the walls.
But they are, solid metal, unlike the plastic ones. Kind of made.
They're actually built to last. Now, does he have any of the ones that've got the doors that you press it and that looks all dented in?
Oh, we got some awesome. With the side door that's dented, some in the front that's dented, some in the back end.
Oh, that's so cool. All right. Well, when I come over next, I'll have to play with them.
Oh, heck yeah. I even have two General Lees.
Do you really?
Yes.
I'm assuming that to prevent your son from being a racist, you painted over the rebel battle flag on top of it.
Well, unfortunately, I think play and time has kind of chipped away all the paint.
Right.
From anyway.
Well, thank God, because we don't want him growing up to be a racist.
But no, I mean, Oh, and I have a Boss Hog Cadillac, too.
Do you really? Yeah. That's awesome. Sorrel Brooks. I'm like, what's his name? What a great name.
That was greatness.
I love that show.
Yeah, it's cool to see him playing with my old toys,
Very cool.
And I didn't keep them. My mom had kept them, all these years. Yeah. A big bin in the garage and brought over this trash bag full of
Here you go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, speaking of kids, what are we talking about today, Dad?
Exactly. Well, kids are a big thing that we, talk about here. Getting kids involved in the sport, it's very, we think it's very important, to always introduce, kids as much as possible to hunting. Get, if you can get their friends involved and all that, because you got to pass on what not just to keep the knowledge going, but also to keep, the protection of the sport going. You got, if there's a lot of, forces out there that don't understand hunting and what it means, and what the benefits are, and this, that, and the other, that kind of that think very shallowly and, think of, you're just shooting innocent Bambi, things of that nature. Right. So there's a lot of important reasons why to keep this sport going, other than the fact that it's really fun. Yep. And I ran across an article here on Realtree.com that was very interesting, kind of got me thinking, or I thought it was something maybe that we could kind of walk through here on this podcast, talking about that very subject. And the title of it is 7 Reasons Why Kids Aren't Deer Hunting. Of course, that that title kind of got my eyes perked up a little bit, my ears perked up. I was like, oh, okay, interesting. Well, where are they going with this? Because I've never really done the research into, hunter numbers over a longer period of time. So the first part of this kind of goes into that, and then they go into the reasons. So I don't know. I figured we just kind of walk through the article, and we can just kind of comment on it as we go. Just jump in on things that kind of interest you. But I'm gonna read. I'm not gonna read probably everything in order, but there are some interesting sections that I want to read, and we'll just talk about. But the article starts out that there aren't enough young hunters to replace those who are aging out of the sport. But why? The answers might not be what you think. Okay, well, so it goes on to say that we've lost more than 18 million hunters since 1982. I thought that was, when I read that, I was like, oh my God, 18 million. That's ridiculous. That's crazy. And they go on to say that there is a decline of 2.2 million active hunters from 2011 to 2016 alone. So over those 5 years, they talk about, some of the reasons that might be obvious, may or may not be obvious, such as, less available hunting land, aging hunting population, and just a general shift from rural to urban living.
Right.
But, it's pretty crazy that over 5 years, we've lost 2 million hunters. And basically what they're saying is there's not enough new and young hunters to replace the hunters that we're losing. Obviously, if you have a net 2 million lost, obviously there's not enough. Right. While there are a lot of programs out there that kind of promote hunting, the fear is that a lot of young hunters aren't sticking with it. So essentially what they're asking is, why not? And the first one that they talk about is what was just mentioned. They say, well, there's nowhere to go. I'll read this and we can talk about it. They say, the days of knocking on doors and getting permission to hunt may not be dead, but they are on a definite downhill slide. Increasing population, corporate farming, replacing family farms, and increased leasing and outfitting in popular hunting areas have all made it harder to find a place to hunt today than it was 30 years ago. So I thought, if you think about it, that kind of makes sense, I guess. Urban sprawl, people moving out of the small towns into the big cities, and I guess, there's, like they say, the corporate farming, buying up all this land. Right. It's they don't really have maybe as much of an interest in trying to get or lease land to hunters. Some do. I mean, obviously some corporations do that, but evidently there's a trend kind of going against that, to where a lot of people, they just don't have access to land.
Right.
We're lucky.
Yeah, I remember in high school and in college. So this would have been, 2000, 2001, 2002, in Lubbock, Texas. We would a week before dove season, we'd slick our hair back and we'd get in the pickup, as one of our good buddies would say, and we'd find a dove, and the dove would fly east. We would drive east, and we'd just get barely outside of Lubbock, and we would start knocking on farmers' doors. And I remember, saying hi, introducing myself, and we'd like to hunt your land. And 9 out of 10 times they'd be like, yeah, go ahead. Just make sure you keep my gates locked and pick up your holes, which is another word for shotgun shells. And we would do it. And, kind of the rumors I hear nowadays in Lubbock is, there's still definitely places that in areas where you can do that, but it's a heck of a lot less. And it's because a lot of the outfitters have bought them up, and it's all about the money, and these outfitters are paying these farmers, and to hunt. So no, I definitely think that land availability is a problem. That being said, Texas is really one of the only states, that's almost 99. I think it's like 99% private. Whereas the rest of the country is basically the exact opposite. It's all public land. Obviously, it's a lot more difficult on public land. There's a lot more work involved, and so I don't know.
Maybe just our cultures doesn't like work too much, and maybe that's part of it.
I mean, let's be honest, dude. I mean, That's kind of one of the trends,
Yeah.
and believe me, I would love just to sit back and have it come to me, but we know it doesn't do that. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, there's a lot of people in this world that believe that,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, public land is not easy. Yeah, incredibly rewarding, but definitely, you can't just, park your truck, walk in there 2 feet, and be guaranteed a deer or
Right.
guaranteed ducks, So I definitely think the effort, and desire and drive has something to do with it, much like it just in everyday life.
Right. Right. It's pretty crazy.
Mhm.
The second one that they go on here that I would never have thought of, but it's interesting, makes sense in a way, is divorce. And their angle on this one is, with they claim, I guess this is true. I don't know. I really looked into the statistics, but they say recent statistics show that almost 50% of marriages will end in divorce or separation.
Wow.
So, and a lot of the times in those kind of marriages, one of the spouse is a hunter. A lot of times it's the father or whatnot. And then a lot of times in those situations, the children end up living full time with the mother,
Hmm.
and but go to visit the father.
Right.
So when that situation happens, uh, they don't have access all the time to be with the father while the father's hunting. So
Right.
they
Right.
don't have that exposure, that constant kind of exposure, that they would have otherwise, being with their father all the time.
Right. Right. Right.
So I was like, wow, I mean, that's really interesting, something to think about there.
Yeah, that is interesting, especially given today. If you watch any of the hunting shows, I mean, really in the past 10 years, it shifted from the kind of the celebrity hunting pros. Used to be, I mean, 100% male. Every one of them, were male, and now, I mean, it's damn near 50-50. A lot of husband-wife combinations too. So, females, which is fantastic. Females are really starting to get involved. They're starting to get involved in hunting. I mean, all rifles come with a shade of pink now. Bows come with a shade of pink. They're
Right.
actually there's
The
actually
pink
camo
camo.
companies for
Yeah.
females. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
which I think is freaking fantastic. I mean,
Genius.
here I am with my two girls trying to help that statistic. I think it's fantastic. So, um,
So hopefully, maybe that'd be on the reverse.
yeah,
So,
I would definitely think so. But then again, what are the statistics on, divorcee, moms that take their kids hunting? God, I would love to see that.
yeah, that would be
Can you count them on one hand? I mean, I doubt it. I hope not.
right.
Uh, but that's interesting. I never thought about that one either.
Yeah.
Hey, hold on 1 second. Hey, folks, do you want to level up your hunting game and gear? If so, join the hunt to get killer hunting tips and tricks that'll help you out in the field. Text the word bandit to 345-345 right now. And when you do, you'll even get access to some exclusive deals on the hunting gear and services we discuss right here on this podcast. Again, text the word bandit to 345-345 right now and join the hunt.
So the third one they have here is one that, boy, I can see this all over the place. It may not be the one you're thinking of yet. That's number 4. We'll get there. But number 3 is just busy schedules. So
Right.
essentially what they're saying is, other than school sports
Right.
typically, or maybe the band or something like that back in the day,
Right.
there wasn't a lot of outside of school type of activities available where. And especially at the same time when the more people lived in more rural areas, so all there was to do, or not all there was, but a lot of to do then was to hunt. Whereas now, going back to the what we talked about a little bit previous, people moving into more urban areas together, that's given rise to all these extracurricular kind of activities. Art, dance, music, computer part-time jobs, all this stuff.
Yeah.
That a lot of young people just wasn't available necessarily to them back in the day. So just so many things on their calendar, going. I mean, you got soccer and all that stuff.
Yep.
Well, we got our friends with kids older like that now have football and soccer and
right.
t-ball or whatever, that just go on the weekends,
Right.
So it's
right. Yeah, no, and I can definitely see that as a contributing factor to the decline. However, hunting is a lifestyle. It's not really even a sport. It's a way of life, and you've got to make choices. Okay, all right, sure, yeah. If you're playing high school football or high school volleyball, yeah, okay. Guess what? For 4 years, yeah, you're probably not going to be able to go out, and hunt on the weekends, and that's a sacrifice, and you do it. But, I look at my girls, 8 and 4. Those little girls, they love playing soccer. They love playing volleyball. But guess what? They love being out there in that duck blind with me, freezing their little booties off. Why, I don't know, but it's adorable, and they can't wait to do it, and that just means the world to me 50,000 times over. So, me as a parent, I've got to make it a priority to make sure that I get my children out there, get them exposed, and hey, guess what? If they miss a couple of soccer games, I don't care. All right, yeah. I do not care because, as a steward of the land, as a defender of the hunting lifestyle, I've got to get my kids motivated and active in this lifestyle. I've got to build memories. Mm-hmm. If I can build enough memories with my children, in their minds, I will have just added more cement to the wall that's going to protect our hunting rights into the future. Did you hear the crowd?
You're right.
Vote for Kinchlow.
Right. Well, I think you touched on something right when you started commenting on this one, and you said, bantering, and you said hunting is really kind of not. It is a sport, but it's not. It's more of a lifestyle. Right. Than just a weekend sport or whatever. It's there's so much that goes on. It goes into it. There's so much, there's so much more you need to do throughout the entire year, not just during, the hunting season and whatnot, which lends itself to being a lifestyle. And I think maybe this one's on here because a lot of people kind of lost sight of that kind of fact. That's become more thought of as more of a sport that rather than no, this is a year-round lifestyle. That you have to fit into your schedule and maybe other things fit around it.
Yeah,
for sure. To truly do what you need to do.
For sure. It's like with everything in this world. You've just got to have balance. You can't go out there and eat Mexican food every single day. If you do that, you will be.
Although my wife would love to do that.
Oh yeah, God, I don't blame her. I'd eat Chinese every single day until I popped.
I would probably go Thai food or cheeseburgers every day.
Yeah, I can do cheeseburgers too. But but the point is, obviously, if you do that every single day, you're going to die. You've got to have some sort of balance. But I'd also say one of the really important things about getting those kids out there, making the outdoor lifestyle. When we say out, we're not just talking hunting. We're talking fishing. We're talking outdoor survival, whatever it may be. Is to have an appreciation for history. It seems like this day and age, all these idiots in this, and that some of these idiots, I should say, in this country are trying to erase history as if it didn't happen. Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? There's a lot of folks out there like myself that are trying to learn from history and appreciate, what my great grandfather had to do, when he grew up hunting and all that, when they hunted for food and to be able to teach that. And to be able to, so many people so many adults take advantage of the fact that, you got your pork, you got your cucumber, and you got your glass of water, that you can just get that so quickly now. I think the outdoor lifestyle, hunting in particular, really puts value on the fact that, hey, you outwitted this game animal, you harvested this game animal, you cleaned it, now you're cooking it. And you're having a conversation at the table. I mean, that's the full thing right there.
The full cycle.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah,
I think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. So the fourth thing here, and this one makes total sense, as we lament about this a lot. It's the woods don't have Wi-Fi. So.
Oh God.
So now, granted, you and I grew up, around when the original Nintendo came out, right? 85 or so, and Atari, of course, Sega, all those things. They came out.
Nah.
But even still, of course there was no internet. But even still, we loved playing those things, but we still lived outside all the time.
Right.
Our entertainment was the outdoors, right?
Yep.
I mean,
Sticks.
Sticks, thorns, poison ivy, all the good stuff.
Oh yeah.
Creaking, that's right.
Yeah, creaking. Love it.
But now, I mean, kids, the article makes the point that now generations now are growing up from day one, only knowing the internet, only knowing the iPad, or the iPhone, those type of things where, it's just like totally different. What's all the things that are being like shown and all that things that they can do other than just going outside, staying in the AC, and those type of things. So it makes the point that, kids, because of that, they just don't see any reason to go out into the woods.
Right. Well, I think a lot of it has to do with parenting.
No question. Which they don't make that kind of point in here. And when I finished that section, I was like, well, I mean, that's all parenting.
Oh yeah. And this is an official announcement. I haven't told you this, but I am opening my own business, and it's going to be Kicking Parents' Ass 101. Because the parents are the reason why some of these children these days are just turds. I mean, turds and a half. All right, 4-year-old doesn't come out evil, okay, unless you believe in the whole omen thing, 666, the devil, all that kind of stuff. Okay, no, they're created by bad parenting. One of the worst things that a parent can do to their children or to the children that they have influence over is not teach them how to have an imagination. That is one thing that we were taught, and we don't remember it, okay, but we were taught how to play, G.I. Joes, cars, micro machines, whatever it may be, right? We were taught to go outside and play and all that kind of stuff. This day and age, it's just so much easier to throw them in front of an iPad. And that's one of the things that we made sure that we did with our girls is have an imagination. And I'm sitting there staring at all this gigantic Barbie house that's almost as tall as me, and our girls play with this kind of stuff, and they love the iPad, and they do play on it, and we do give them X amount of time per day on it. Sometimes they go over and they get iPray brain and they turn to turds, and then we have to flush the turdisms. We have to get that. We have to take care of that problem. Mm-hmm. But again, it's all about parenting, and if the parents would, show them, hey, you know what? Sure. Yeah. Maybe on this hunting trip, you're not going to see all kinds of, bells and whistles and shiny things and high scores, but you're going to get to have a flock of ducks land over you, and they're going to sound like a frickin' airplane. And that's not something that you can see on a YouTube video. It's got to be something that you experience. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to sit out there and I'm going to show you in the deer blind where we're going to sit there in the deer blind. We're going to watch a turkey gobble at 10 yards. Okay. Right. That's not something that you get on an iPad or, of a YouTube video. That's nature. That's the power of nature. And there is nothing in this world more powerful than nature. Man has come up with some really, really cool stuff, but it doesn't hold a candle to what nature does. And I actually can't take credit for that. I believe that was Mr. Jeff. I think that was Mr. Jeff Foxworthy that said something of that nature. But he's right. He is absolutely right. So it comes down to parenting, in my opinion.
I agree with you on that one.
I feel semi-strong about it.
Oh, yeah. Well, this next one's going to maybe get you a little worked up as well.
Imagine. God bless me. Get more water.
Hey, hold on one quick moment. Hey, folks, have you ever wished that there was an easier way to find the hunting feeds, supplies, and services you need when and where you need them? If so, check out our hunter search at feedbandit.com, where you can see what hunting suppliers are in your area or are on the way to your land. Don't waste any more precious time searching Google or calling around for feed, blinds, feeders, or even outfitters. Just use our targeted search for hunters, the Feed Bandit Hunter Search, over at feedbandit.com. We'll find your feed.
So this one is called, the next reason is negative peer pressure.
Oh,
so I'm going to read this whole section all the way through, and then
okay.
It's just 2 paragraphs. It says, social media has given these small groups of anti-hunters a big voice. It says, You might remember, it says Texas cheerleader Kendall Jones. Was she a Texas cheerleader?
Yeah, no, she was a Texas Tech. That's crazy
That's
because
we
follow her.
Okay,
Oh,
well,
no, that's wrong.
this article's incorrect, right? Well, anyway, so you might remember former Red Raider Kendall Jones, whose photos of her legally taken big game animals sparked coordinated online attacks and death threats. That same pressure happens on a smaller scale in high schools and on social media pages throughout the country. Rural areas are generally more accepting of hunting than urban ones, but young hunters can face a severe social backlash over hunting regardless of where they go to school.
Oh, yeah.
I get the whole peer pressure thing, but, you know, like, when you're older now, you know, it's so easy to say, like, just tell them to, you know what, off, you know, or, and stand up for yourself and tell them, know, just da-da-da. But you got to imagine, you know, remember when you're back in junior high and high school and all that. I mean, the peer pressure, I think that's true. It's unfortunate that that's true. Doesn't mean people should give in to it because it's true. Right. But yeah, I mean, it's BS that is there. And that goes also to parenting, I think, though, to prepare your kids for, hey, you know.
Thank you.
You know, feel free to share this and everything, absolutely. But if someone says something to you, you know, educate them or just ignore them. Don't let it bother. You can't let it bother you because they're ignorant. You know, they don't know of which they speak, of what they speak. Right. You know, or whatever you need to say. But you gotta. I think now, unfortunately, as parents, we're obligated to kind of, you know, prepare, just like we do for kids in general, while you're preparing them for life. But at the same time, you prepare them for this just BS stuff from the SJW social media and all this stuff that now exists. You know.
Yeah. Jimmy, I agree wholeheartedly with you. And again, this all comes down to parenting. You know, you got to think about your children as an extension of you, but, you know, again, they're also the future, and you've got to prepare them. You've got to have some of these uncomfortable conversations, not only about, you know, about hunting and life in general, but, you know, about drugs and all that kind of stuff. You've got to have these conversations with your kids. You can't just assume that they're going to go out there and just instinctively, oh, well, gosh, I guess he's just an idiot, so I'm not going to talk to him. No, you've got to help them. You've got to give them strategies. You know, they are no different than a football team. You got to coach them up. So I completely agree with you. And it's funny, a lot of the anti-hunting stuff out there, it just comes from ignorance. You know, and the other thing is got too much frickin' time on their hands. Yeah. So why don't you go worry about yourself? And which is really funny. Just really funny. A lot of the people that are spewing hate about hunting are also these non-GMO organic guys and girls out there. You know, we'll talk about what's more organic than, you know, a deer eating on the, you know, munching on some acorns. And, you know,
that is one of the greatest points ever out there. It's like, well, okay, you know. Well, you know, and it's not just that point, but also you know, what hunting does to help the land and everything. But that's like,
oh, for sure.
They'll never see that though, because they're so kind of, you know, already convinced themselves.
They can't get past the kill.
Yeah. Yep.
They cannot get past the kill.
They think nature without humans is perfect.
Right.
You know, and like rainbows and butterflies and
Sure.
Yeah, they have no idea that the African safari exists, where there's a you know, there's lions eating everything down, you know, and then each thing eating, you know, I mean, it's just and we're just we're animals, we're humans,
right? Well, no, and actually, you know, they do have a point. And then this is the only thing I'll ever agree with those idiots on is, you know, I mean, nature could sustain itself without humans, but that's the key. Okay, we have to take humans out of the picture.
Well,
we have to stop. You can't. It's not going to happen.
No, but I'm saying, how sure are you that nature could sustain itself without humans?
Well, I just
because think about it. You know, we may actually be the most important part of the ecosystem on the planet.
Well, right. But think about this. Think about this. You know, even with humans, okay, let's talk about what's going on right now in Val Verde and Sutton County in Texas. Anthrax. Yeah. All right? Anthrax has broken out down there, unfortunately. It's just a horrible thing. I don't have the numbers, but this one isn't a good one. And it's killed a lot of deer, which of course is going to affect a lot of ranchers, which is going to affect a lot of small towns. It's a bad thing. That's not something obviously that was introduced by hunting. That's just a natural. That's just a natural thing that wipes out droves of them. So I think nature.
But the hunters
nature
can act to
fine.
control it. They can, if we go out there and.
Well, there's not much they can do to control anthrax, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. See, that's the thing. People can't make blatant statements that you take one thing out of the ecosystem and things will be better, or
right.
You say this one thing doesn't affect a certain thing.
Right.
It certainly may. You just don't know how it does.
Well, and on the other side, with the antes, the snow goose. Okay, the snow goose is an incredible conservation story because the snow goose was basically wiped out. In the early teens, to commercial hunting and all that kind of stuff, which kind of blows my mind because goose meat's horrible. I'll eat it, but it's got to have it's got to be blood anyway. So the snow goose again was basically wiped out. Well, then DU, Delta waterfowl, those guys came in, saved them, right? And now the snow goose is so overpopulated that it's literally eating itself out of house and home, and it's killing other species. It's a domino effect. And thank God the past 20 years or so, now they've got these snow goose conservation seasons in where the season's extended. You can at least electronic calls. I mean, God, they're at the point of this is a real problem.
Yeah, they become pests, right? I mean,
yeah, and then you're going to get diseases and all that kind of stuff, and then guess what? Boom, goodbye snow goose.
Yeah. Well, bottom line, I think that the whole issue there is just kind of ignorance, probably on a lot of different sides, and everything,
sure.
where people comment on things that they don't know about. That's just human nature, basically, and unfortunately, it hurts. It can hurt young, impressionable hunters.
I agree. And I think one point to always point out to your kids is that everybody's a freaking tough guy behind a monitor.
Yeah, for sure.
If you approach me in the streets, I'm going to tell you the exact same thing in the exact same tone as I am right now. Mm-hmm. But whereas you got some of these other idiots, they're not as they don't like face-to-face conversation. I mean, my God, in the next 50 years, are people actually going to talk to each other?
Right. I know.
That's another story.
This
world is turning into to 6.5-year-old 6-point Coles. Let's just put it that
way. So the second to last one here, we probably don't have to spend too much time on this because we've kind of talked about this one earlier. It was just that families don't hunt, right. And what they're saying is less than 4% of the population hunted in 2016. Right. That, of course, that necessarily means that most kids growing up just aren't ever exposed to hunting at all. So right. I think that the bottom line here is, kind of what we've always talked about is, if you're a hunter, we don't have to tell you twice that, introduce your kids to it. But there's the other aspect of, hey, if they have friends, and, encourage them to come along, and maybe you can kind of touch, get their friend interested, and then they, it becomes like a good virus, if you will. That
for sure.
People, more and more people want to kind of get interested in it. And
there's no doubt. Yeah. There's no doubt. I mean, taking the time to introduce, to getting your kids to, and that's the thing is, even if your kids don't hunt, okay, like for example, I know a lot of my father's friends whose children don't currently hunt, okay, but they understand hunting, mm-hmm. and they support hunting because they used to hunt, okay, and that's extremely important. And God willing, when they have children, maybe they'll be in a position where they can have their kids hunt, But if not, at least, again, you can spread the correct information about hunting and the lifestyle that is hunting,
Yeah. The last sentence on this section was basically saying, the importance of giving kids, even if they don't continue, giving them the knowledge and experience to come back to hunting later in life.
Right. Yep.
So just to keep it going, And then the last one here is interesting. It makes sense on a certain level. Doesn't apply to me at all, but it's called antler envy. It talks about how especially now with social media and all the everything you can read online or watch on, these shows on TV or YouTube or whatever, how we're going for the trophy buck, and they always get these like huge, antlered bucks and all this type of stuff where, in reality, that's more rare than, just hunting to manage the population or whatever, taking does or taking management bucks or culls and this type of thing.
Sure.
Where it's really touching on, it's that's cool to watch and cool to see, but hunting is so much more than just going after antlers. That's basically the point here, and we have to be sure to teach the young hunter, or the new hunter, and the new hunter, I guess, new and young,
right?
That it's more than getting that trophy, although that is awesome.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Obviously, I say it doesn't apply to me because I actually love cull hunting.
Yes,
it's more what I like to do than anything. So I like the more unique, the better for me.
Right.
To be
right.
That's my trophy. So
well, and again, that starts out from the beginning. Something that I've always talked to my hunters about, people that I've trained to hunt, and then obviously the children, is that. And I take the time to do it. We're at Rancho Bandito, and we've got a doe, and then we've got maybe a real nice management buck. Okay, that's got his 10 points and is 180 pounds. I'll take the kids aside and say, okay, listen, because naturally I'm not going to be cleaning animals and be sitting there with a drink and a cigar, but I'll say, listen, hey, what are the difference between these two animals? And then, of course, the kids will always be, or the folks that I'm training really will say, wow, they're always fixated on the antlers. I'm like, yeah, there really isn't a difference. All right, both of these animals were extremely important to take out of the herd, and here's the reason why. Mm-hmm. The other thing about, big antlers and all that kind of thing is that if you're, if all the stars align, all right, you've got good genetics, you've had a good year, good range conditions, good supplemental feeding program. You've taken the right deer out there. You're a real steward of the land. Those big antlers are just going to happen naturally, and that's a real cool thing. And it's kind of a reward. You're rewarded because you're seeing all your hard work kind of come to fruition. When you take down that 7.5-year-old, gnarly, pot-bellied, floppy-eared buck that's got 12 points. And then it really becomes more than just the antlers. It becomes a whole story. And I think that's super important. I mean, not to mention the meat. I mean, that's one of the things we really haven't talked about. Mm-hmm. Is the whole table fare of venison and how healthy it is for you, and quite frankly, how cool it is to prepare it. I think. You're seeing a lot of these. People don't have time to prepare stuff, and that's having fresh venison is a real bonus these days.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Speaking of, I think I have my last bundle of backstrap.
Oh wow!
Thawing in the fridge right now. So
wow.
Deer season needs to get here.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, I was digging through my deep freeze, and I'm not exactly a short guy, but my deep freeze is like the coat closet in what's that Narnia movie, and it just keeps going.
The wardrobe, or
the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Great movie, by the way. Don't say the book was better. I was through this microphone, but. No, but it's funny, and I reached down the bottom. I'm like, oh my god! First of all, there's some dog food down there, which I have no idea how that got there. And then I found about 10 tubes of venison.
Oh, nice!
Fantastic, because we were basically done.
Yeah, I'm down to like 4, maybe. Something like that.
Yeah. Well, it's coming, son. It's coming. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, awesome. Well, that's a good place to stop, I think.
Yeah. Well, that was a great article. I think we would do more of those.
I agree.
Yeah, and again, for all of those who are listening, you agree with us, you disagree with us. Let's have a conversation about it. Again, we record these podcasts, to talk to people, to inspire people, but it's also to get other opinions. Again, as kind of like we're going back to the whole baiting and high fence thing, we need to be together, not separated. But that doesn't mean we can't have, relatively civil conversations. It's important to banter back and forth, about this kind of stuff. So ultimately with the end goal of getting every human being we know interested in hunting and appreciating it.
That's right. Amen, brother.
Yep.
All right. Well, awesome. Well, we'll leave it at that and sign off for this podcast. And stay tuned. We got some cool stuff coming up. Like we mentioned, of course, deer season's right around the corner. Duck right around the corner. There's a little teal in the middle there somewhere.
I'm so excited.
So yeah, we'll be excited to talk more and more about all this stuff and hopefully entertain all you folks out there. So stay tuned. So with that, we'll sign off, and everyone out there, have a good one.
Thanks for listening to the Feed Bandit podcast. Just a reminder to text the word bandit to 345-345. And when you do, you'll join our email list where we'll send killer deals on innovative hunting products and services, along with entertaining tips and tricks straight to your inbox. You don't want to miss out, so again, text the word bandit to 345-345, and we look forward to seeing you on the hunt. Until next time, have a good one, and remember to support your local feed store.